Hi guys, in this video we are going to see how to create multiple worksheets in an Excel workbook using a loop. We are going to carry forward from our previous video only, where we learned how to create a sheet in a workbook, and here we'll see we want to create multiple worksheets, and we'll use loop here. So what if we want to add multiple sheets in my workbook? The one way is to repeat this statement again and again with new sheets name. The other way is to create a loop which will keep picking names of the new sheets and keep creating the new sheets. Let's work on this loop which I just talked about. So the first step would be get a list of names at least which I want to give to my new sheets. So let's say I have these names written in my Excel workbook only. Let's say I have these names here written in my workbook in sheet 1 starting from A3. Now I'll use A3, A4, A5 these names to make my new sheets. So first step would be to get a reference of that sheet where we have these names stored. We'll use WS is equal to WB square bracket and the name of the sheet. This is the name of the sheet in which my names of the new sheets which I want to create are stored. I showed you earlier in A3, A4, A5. These names are stored. So now WS has that reference, the reference of that sheet which has these names. Now let's start our loop. The first line in our loop would be for row in range. Range function gives us the range of numbers in which the loop will run. Of course, we want to get a range of row, and remember the first row was the third row where my names are saved. We can check that again. See, the first name sheet 5 is saved in row number 3. We'll take care of column later, but first in this loop we'll just take care of row first and then we'll take care of the column. So row 3 is our first row, so we'll start the range with 3, right? And then I'll use wx.maxrow. Maxrow gives me the last row in my worksheet. So this will give me the range where I have to run my program. Then the second step in this loop script would be, in this part would be, I'm going to check whether the particular cell, and we are using ws.cell to access each and every cell, and which cell we are going to access, we are giving the row number and column number. Column will always be 1. We are always going to access the cells in the first column, and the row I'll get from here, and this range is from 3 to the max row. So I'll check row by row in column 1, every cell. I'll check every cell row by row in column 1 whether it has value or not. If it doesn't have value, then I'll break the loop. Otherwise, I'll proceed to the next step. And the next step would be to get the value, which is in our case is the names of the sheets. To get the value or get those names of the sheets in this sheet name variable or any variable, whatever you want to name it. So ws.cell, which cell, row, which comes from here, and this will run in a loop from 3 to the max row. And of course it should not be empty, which we check from here. So cell with this row, and the column is always 1. So in the first column I'll pick the value. Now when we come here, this cell will have value, because if it won't have value, then the loop will break here only. So if the code has reached here, that means the cells with value are being accessed. So we'll take that value in sheet name one by one, starting from row 3, then row 4, row 5, and that's why we have loop. So starting from row 3, then row 4, row 5, we'll keep taking one by one the names which we want, and for every name I want to run the next code, which is wb.create_sheet. So for every name there should be a sheet. So wb.create_sheet, and here we have sheet name. This sheet name will keep changing with every leg of loop. So with every range, every number of loop, every range of loop, every row of loop, whatever you can say, every row which has some value, because if it doesn't have value, the code will break here, the loop will break here. So every row in this range which has value will, for that row, the value will be stored here in sheet name, and that value will be used to give the name to the newly created sheet. So wb.create sheet, and I have to convert it into string to ensure that create sheet function only has strings being passed. So I'll just convert it into string str by using str, and then passing sheet name, the value, the variable which has this value, and again this value will keep changing in the loop. So str sheet name, and this will keep creating new sheets for every new name which I take in a loop in this variable from the list, my list in Excel book. It will create a new sheet for that name. Let's run it now. When I run it, the sheets must have created, but before checking it, we'll have to save, because if we don't save, this new change won't take effect and won't be saved in my Excel workbook, and we won't be able to see it. So let us save it before we proceed. So I'm just using wb.save and the path with the Excel file name to save this new change where we are adding multiple sheets through this loop. We saved it, and now these worksheet must have been added in my Excel workbook. Let us check. See, I have these new sheets created. There's an interesting thing about this code, that if I run this loop multiple times, then it will create these sheets with these names multiple times, but it will keep adding suffix like 1, 2, 3 on these names after these names, and it will create these sheets, these set of sheets. For example, 5, sheet 6, sheet 7. If I again run this loop, it will create sheet 5 1, sheet 6 1, sheet 7 1. Again it will keep adding suffix like this. So let us check that as well. I ran it again, I saved it again, and let us check now. See, we have sheet 5 1, sheet 6 1, sheet 7 1. It has added 1 as suffix after sheet 5 name which I have given here. So it just added 1 as suffix here. So that's how we can create multiple sheets with using loop. Thank you for watching this video. Please subscribe to this channel for and keep updated with our upcoming videos. Thank you.